The Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, or the JROTC, is a DoD-funded program for middle school and high school students that is designed to teach students the value of citizenship and public service. Schools hire and oversee the instructors, and then the military services vet, train, and pay part of the salaries for the instructors, who are all retired service members. DoD and the Department of Education share oversight for the program, but there's some pretty serious gaps in that oversight. A recent New York Times investigation found that at least 33 JROTC instructors have been criminally charged with sexual misconduct. I started my own investigation with Senators Blumenthal, Gillibrand, and Hirono in response to this alarming situation, and found that there were at least 114 allegations of abuse over the past decade. Now, when the services learned about these 114 cases, they did the right thing and suspended or fired the instructor. But I am worried that we are seeing only the tip of the iceberg. Secretary Schaefer, the Army has the largest JROTC program of all the military services, so let me start by asking you. One of the main ways that we track whether we're making progress on military sexual assault is an annual report. Is there any kind of formal annual reporting on instances of sexual assault and harassment in the JROTC program?
Senator Warren, thank you for your question. This is an issue that deeply concerns me as well. There is an annual, my understanding is there's an annual report, but it has not had that tracking in it. Yet my
So there's no, the annual report I'm asking about is there a report tracking the incidences of sexual assault?
So yeah, there is a report. It has not tracked sexual assault.
So the answer is no.
Up to this point, yet my office has directed it. Before I came in December, my office directed that we include that in the report that already.
But right now there's not, but you're now trying to put this in. Okay, that's good. That's a good thing. Another tool recommended by experts for tracking this type of problem is a survey that allows individuals to anonymously report instances of sexual harassment or abuse. Does the Army have that kind of survey for JROTC?
I'm not aware of it, but I can look into it. And I agree that that might be a good.
I think you'll find the answer is no on that. So let me ask the other services. Annual report, Secretary Parker?
Chairwoman Moorman, no, there is no annual report.
No annual report. Secretary Wagner?
Chairwoman, there is an annual report. It's called the DOCS for military folks and for DoD civilians. These are employees of schools. The JROTC instructors are school employees. The students are obviously students. And so the optic of the military asking a survey.
I'm not asking that. What I'm asking is, do you have an annual report that records how many people reported sexual assault against your folks who were in the JROTC program?
The Air Force JROTC program office tracks this extremely closely.
So you do. So if I request that annual report, you'll get a copy of it, and it will show me how many people reported incidences of sexual harassment or assault.
I can't say it's a formal report. What I can say is I have seen a list of every single incident and the disposition over the last 5 years.
So the answer to my question about is there an annual report, is that a yes or a no?
As far as I'm aware, we don't have an actual annual report.
All right. And do you do a survey? Secretary Parker?
No, we do not do a survey.
And Secretary Wagner?
Senator, we don't do a survey, but we do provide a number of mechanisms for either parents or students to report incidents.
If you're serious about sexual assault and sexual harassment, these are the two best tools that we know we have available. And I'm asking the question, are the military services doing it? I'm hearing from Secretary Schaefer that she's starting with the Army. I'm not hearing it from the Navy, I'm not hearing it from the Air Force, and I'm asking all three of you using the second tool, and that is surveys, and I'm hearing the answer is no, no, and no. So look, no annual reporting or just starting some annual reporting, no surveys. In other words, there's no real way for the DoD or the services to have the kind of information they need to exercise basic oversight. You got to start with knowing what's going on. And we know the problems with these surveys. We know that people underreport. We know they underreport formally. We know they underreport in surveys. But you got to at least start there. You know, one of the biggest problems that has come to light in these investigations is also that some of the instructors who abused these students had done it before. For at least 7 of the instructors that we know about who were eventually criminally charged, it turns out that students had already raised concerns with the school before the incident that got these instructors arrested. So let me start there. Secretary Schaefer, if colleges fail to report public safety issues like sexual assault, the Department of Education can fine them under the Clery Act or even strip them of all federal funding. There are serious consequences for failure to report. So let's ask about DOD accountability. If schools fail to report or stop this behavior in JROTC programs, does DOD have any mechanism for saying you no longer get to operate a JROTC program? I'm going to go along.
My understanding is that it's the responsibility of the schools to report any of these incidents.
I know, and
Yeah.
I'm asking, when school falls down on that responsibility, if this were the Department of Education, the Department of Education actually has tools to use to say you're going to pay consequences if you fail to report, because we all understand nobody wants to report this stuff. And the schools that are responsible certainly don't want to report this. So I'm asking, is there anything in the Army JROTC program that will tell a school if you fail to report, there will be consequences?
Again, I'm not aware of that, but I can look into it for you
Okay,
and give you an
I'm going
answer.
to take that as a no unless you tell me something different. Secretary Parker, how about the Navy?
I am not aware that there's a specific trigger for
I'll
removing
take
a
that as a
school
no.
business.
Secretary Wagner?
Senator Warren, the memorandum of agreement between Air Force ROTC and each school has specific requirements
I'm
for schools
not
to
asking about the
report.
requirements. I'm asking about whether there are consequences if the school just keeps its mouth shut.
If the school violates and consistently violates the memorandum of agreement, then the school will be decertified, as would any.
Have you ever decertified a school?
I'll have to look into that. for you.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, but you say you actually have a mechanism.
We have a mechanism.
Okay. All right, so we've got this on sexual assault, very disturbing findings, and sexual harassment. There's one other thing I want to cover very quickly, and that is recent investigations have also found at dozens of schools have forced students to participate in the JROTC program against their will. Parents have to sign a permission slip for a kid to go to the museum on a field trip. The notion that thousands of students are forced to participate in JROTC programs is just out of line with the program's values. Secretary Schaefer, would the Army support requiring JROTC programs to certify that their units are made up only of students who have provided informed consent to participate?
Well, we certainly don't condone forced enforcement of this, and that may be an option.
So you
that
would
we
like to
look
see,
into.
so perhaps a way to certify that that is the case?
Perhaps, yes.
Secretary Parker, how would the Navy feel about that?
Senator Warren, I believe that's something that we would be willing to consider.
Okay. And Secretary Wagner?
Absolutely.
Okay. Look, we have an all-volunteer force. We should have an all-volunteer JROTC. I think we should all be able to agree on that. You know, if the military doesn't step up and prevent these kinds of abuses, then you endanger our ability to continue programs that build our force for the future. This is your reputation on the line here, and I hope you will work with me to get some procedures in place to make this program a safe program for all of our kids. Thank you.